After years of anticipation and countless leaks flooding the rumor mills, Sony has finally pulled back the curtain on what might be their most important camera release of the decade. The Sony A75 is officially teased for a December 2nd announcement. According to sources from Insider Information, test units were distributed to select photographers nearly 10 months ago, an unusually long testing period that suggests Sony was meticulously refining every aspect based on real-world feedback. The leaked hands-on images and confirmed specifications reveal a 33-megapixel, partially stacked sensor capable of 30 frames per second shooting, pre-capture functionality that buffers images before you press the shutter, and dual USB-C connectivity that finally ditches outdated ports. With pricing locked at €2,999 and limited stock shipping before Christmas, while Canon and Nikon have been aggressively pushing their mid-range offerings with the R6 Mark III, Sony has been quietly perfecting their response. The sensor inside the Sony A75 has been the subject of intense debate among photography communities for months. Sony has opted for a brand new 33-megapixel partially stacked back-illuminated CMOS sensor, a significant departure from speculation that they might recycle the A74's imaging chip. This partially stacked design represents a middle ground between the fully stacked sensors found in flagship bodies and traditional designs, offering improved readout speeds without the premium cost. The 33-megapixel resolution strikes a calculated balance, providing enough detail for professional work and significant cropping flexibility while maintaining manageable file sizes and excellent low-light performance. This sensor works in tandem with a new artificial intelligence processing chip similar to the one found in the Sony A1 Mark II, enabling advanced subject detection that can track humans, animals, vehicles, and even insects with excellent accuracy. Performance specifications reveal where Sony has made substantial improvements over the A7 IV. The camera achieves 30 frames per second continuous shooting in electronic shutter mode with full 14-bit RAW support, a dramatic leap that puts it in competition with cameras costing significantly more. When using the mechanical shutter, photographers can capture 10 frames per second, though the hardware is apparently ready for 15 frames per second through a future firmware update. Perhaps more impressively, Sony has finally implemented pre-capture functionality, a feature that Canon and Nikon users have enjoyed for some time. The A75 buffers half a second of images before you even press the shutter button, ensuring you never miss that decisive moment. The autofocus system calculates focus 60 times per second, making it incredibly responsive to fast-moving subjects. Video capabilities show Sony maintaining their strong position in hybrid shooting, though not without some compromises. The A75 records 4K at 60 frames per second footage without any crop, addressing one of the most common complaints about the previous generation. For slow-motion work, 4K at 120 frames per second is available, though this mode does apply a crop. Notably absent is open gate recording, a feature many cinematographers had hoped for. The camera does include 8 stops of in-body image stabilization, making handheld shooting remarkably smooth even at longer focal lengths. Video shooters will appreciate that Sony has finally ditched the outdated micro USB port in favor of dual USB-C connections, with one dedicated to power and charging while the other handles data transfer and tethering. A full-size HDMI port ensures reliable connections to external monitors and recorders. The physical design borrows heavily from the well-received A7R5 body, which means improved ergonomics and weather sealing compared to the A7 IV. The most significant change for content creators is the inclusion of a free-angle tilting 3.2-inch touchscreen LCD with 4-way articulation, making it dramatically easier to shoot from unusual angles or capture vertical content for social media. The electronic viewfinder has been upgraded to 5.6 million dots, providing a clear and accurate preview of your composition. Storage options include one standard SD card slot and one hybrid slot accepting both SD and CF Express Type A cards. One of the more intriguing features is the composite RAW shooting mode, which allows photographers to capture 4, 8, 16, or 32 exposures that can be merged later in Sony's Imaging Edge desktop software. This creates a single high dynamic range RAW file with exceptional noise reduction, perfect for landscape photography or challenging lighting situations. While in-camera processing isn't available yet, having the option to create these composite files gives photographers powerful tools for extracting maximum quality from their images. This feature demonstrates Sony's commitment to providing professional-level capabilities throughout their lineup, not just in flagship models. The timing and availability strategy reveals Sony's confidence in this release. With pre-orders opening on December 2nd immediately following the announcement, Sony is moving aggressively to capture year-end sales. However, only those who pre-order on the first day are likely to receive cameras before Christmas, with later orders pushed into January. The confirmed United States pricing around $2,899 to $2,999 positions the A75 competitively against its rivals, while accounting for the advanced features and build quality. This represents reasonable value, considering the professional-grade autofocus, shooting speeds, and hybrid capabilities packed into the body. Looking at the broader Sony ecosystem, the A75 isn't arriving in isolation. Rumors strongly suggest that Sony is simultaneously developing the FX3 Mark II and A7S4, both reportedly featuring 24-megapixel fully stacked sensors with dual-layer transistor technology. These cameras are expected to offer triple base ISO settings at 800, 4000, and 25,600, making them exceptional low-light specialists. Even more impressive, leaked specifications suggest 6K open-gate recording at 120 frames per second without cropping, which would be transformative for professional video work. If these cameras materialize in early 2026 as rumored, Sony would have an incredibly strong lineup spanning different use cases and price points. The A75 enters a brutally competitive mid-range market where Canon's R6 Mark III offers 40 frames per second RAW bursts, and Nikon's Z6 III delivers partially stacked sensor performance at $2,500. Sony's response matches the R6 Mark III's pre-capture capability while undercutting its price, and counters the Z6 III's sensor technology with superior autofocus processing. The 30 frames per second electronic shooting sits between both competitors, while the 33-megapixel resolution provides more detail than Canon's 24 megapixels without sacrificing the speed advantages of Nikon's similar resolution sensor. Where Sony potentially wins is lens ecosystem maturity, with decades of lens available compared to Canon and Nikon's still growing RF and Z mount selections. For existing Sony shooters holding premium G master lenses, the A75 represents a logical evolution rather than a system-shaking revolution, which might disappoint those expecting Sony to dramatically leapfrog the competition rather than strategically match it.